Hey y'all, hey. Didn't I say I think I'm gonna make that my tagline? Hey y'all, hey. So I thought that I would come on just for a few moments. Tonight when I got off work, I went to play pool at one of my favorite spots. And I haven't played in a couple of weeks now. And if you have something like that that you do on a regular basis, after a few days or you miss a couple of times, you kind of get an itch to go do it again. And so I was just like, man, today was kind of a stressful day. I did a lot of thinking and just was thinking, let me just go kind of debrief. And so I'm excited about being there. I get there, I get on the table, and then another young lady comes in. And the good thing about this spot, on Tuesday nights, they have free pool. The tables are open. So they do that to bring in the crowd. And definitely it boosts their business for a Tuesday night. And another young lady came in and she was getting ready to get on the table, and I already had my things there. So she said, I said, hey, you want to play? She said, sure. So she racked the first time, and we played several games. And tonight, I just was not in a good space. Like, I just could not get the eight ball to fall. And a couple of times I would be up on the table. I might have her up by five or six balls. She came back and just beat me. And so the first time it happened, I was like, cool. That was our warm up game. Second time, I was like, okay, I don't really like this right here. It's something about losing, just having somebody come back and take the game from you. And so, and I kind of got a competitive nature, so that part. And so I'm like, man, okay, what's my strategy here? She was playing really good defense, and that's something that I'm working on. I'm good offensively, but I have to learn how to play defense. And so I'm playing everything, and she's winning. Like, she won one game, then she won two games, then she came back, she won the third game. Like, the third game, I almost won, and she came back. I mean, like, her balls were just placing on the table, like, in perfect spaces. I mean, lining up where they sitting right at the pocket. Just all you gotta do is tap them in. And initially I was thinking, well, she's not that great of a player. In my mind, I'm kind of thinking, and then there were like some little comments that she was making, and I was thinking, wait a minute now, like, this not a scrub game right here. Don't get too far beyond yourself. Because what I had to also look at is sometimes you're playing the same game and you lose. Sometimes the better player does not always end up being the one that's on the winning side of the team. And I was, just kind of playing and strategizing. And when you play that game, I said, well, let's run it back. And so we ran it back a couple of times. And finally, I ended up knocking in the eight ball, and guess what? I scratched. So I'm like, okay, Lord, what you trying to teach me from this? Because there's always a lesson in whatever it is that we're doing. And I was playing, and when I play this game, I don't play it to win. I play it just because that is really my kind of like my woosah. That's my way of going to. Some people go, they smoke a cigar. Some people go have a glass of wine. That's my woosah. That's my moment to just kind of recalibrate. And I was feeling some kind of way because I'm like, no, I'm hitting shots that are like, if they were being judged by the technical difficulty of them, technically, I was probably making better shots than her. But consistently, I was not. She was a really good banker as well. She could bank a couple of the balls, and she has a really hard shooting game. And I've learned to control mine a little bit better, but it was just interesting to watch and how I was feeling. And so in my mind, I was thinking, now her skill set, like, I just didn't feel like the caliber of skill set was where I needed to be losing. And I'm going somewhere with this. And I thought about the reason that I went is not to win. I went to, one, debrief, and to two, increase my skill set. So the last couple of games, I stopped shooting just to make the shot, and I started shooting with a strategy of taking the harder shot, taking the more difficult shot, taking the shot that would not necessarily land me the win, but would land me the opportunity to stretch myself beyond what my best capacity was. And so The last game I won, so I want to say we probably played 7 games. If we played 7, she won 5, I won 2. If we played 8 games, she won 6 and I won 2. And when I kind of walked away, I won the last game. And she said, "Well, you going to give up the table?" And I said, "Yeah, you can have my win. Or you can give it to her." It was another lady that had come in by that time. And so I was getting ready to go. And one of the guys who plays is an older guy. He's really, really good. Real good. And he stopped me and he kind of put his hand up like to give me a high five. And when I gave him a high five, he said, "You know you didn't play your best game today." He said, you're a much more skilled player, but you didn't play your best game. He said, "We all have bad days some days." He said, "But I watched you and you missed quite a few shots that normally you would make." And he said, "But just know your skill set is definitely on point." And I'm saying that to say that you never know who is watching. God is always watching to see how you are going to respond to something. Even when you are feeling like you're defeated, even when you feel like you are not meeting the best expectation, sometimes you have to take the road that's less traveled. And in me tonight, I took the road that's less traveled because I began to take shots that were not my easiest target, but they were shots that were going to stretch me beyond what I am accustomed to doing. And what that meant is tonight I may have lost on the table, but I won in the victory of somebody else watching how I was going to handle what took place. And it's kind of interesting because this game is not a game that you typically see a lot of ladies. Now, at this particular spot where I go, it's a different vibe and it's a different type of woman. Like sometimes it got that little gangster attitude to it, and here I come in there in my little, bubbly earrings on, nice little dress and everything because I shot in a dress tonight. And so the thing is, I don't typically look like the ladies that come in there to shoot. And I don't come in there to shoot because I'm looking for the guys. I'm very comfortable around the guys and playing with them and things of that sort because I'm trying to increase my game. And I'm just wanting to remind you that if you feel like you're defeated, if you feel like you're not winning at the game, just continue to play your best game. Because in the end, I did win. In the end, I think the last game, she had 3 or 4 balls left on the table. And the interesting thing is, one of the games where she beat me, I'm going to tell you, she shot that 8 ball about 8 times. And in my mind, I was thinking, this is what's making me mad. Like on the inside, I'm like, "Girl, what are you doing?" Like she done shot the 8 ball 5 times and missed the pocket. And, sometimes that's what God is doing with us. He is stretching us and he is developing us, and he is pulling us out of our comfort zone. He is putting us in environments that we feel like we should be winning. I know I should have gotten a promotion. I know that I should have been able to close on the house. I know that I'm the better candidate for the job. I know that I'm the better candidate for the position. I know that I'm the one that he should have chosen, or I'm the one that she should have chosen. I know that. So how is it then that I ended up not winning? And the truth of the matter is, we all win. We are winning. We have to look at the victories for what God intended for it to be in our life, not for what he intended for it to be in someone else's life. So when I look at tonight, and I'm always looking to see, like, what can I gain from this? Like, what can I gain? And I mean, I've had nights where I've gone in and I didn't win anything. And then I've had nights where I went in and I was just running the table. Wasn't nobody getting on the table that night but me. And it's just that way sometimes. But tonight, when I walked away, what God showed me, when that guy pulled me over, and he didn't have to do that. He stopped me, as I was getting ready to go packing up. And he just said, man, and he's a smooth shooter, like this old school. He probably about 65, 70 years old, and he been shooting probably long before I was born. And so he gives me a lot of pointers on my shots and what I do and how I move, and I'm saying that to you so that you will know that even when you feel like you're losing, you're still winning. What did you gain from what you feel like you lost? And when I talk about us in this channel for divorce and what we might have felt like we had to give up, you know, I'm still struggling through some of the things for the residue of what was left on me from my divorce. Some of those things I didn't even have anything to do with it. And you know, I got a letter in the mail this past weekend that really kind of just knocked me to my core, because in my mind I was thinking you have to be so careful who you connect yourself with, because when you connect yourself with someone and they don't have the same mindset as you, they're not moving in the same direction, you then end up either having to pull them to go in the direction with you, or you're going to have to carry them. And either way, it's going to then wear down on the other person that is involved in it. So in times like tonight, it reminds me that even when I feel like I'm losing, I'm still winning. I was able to sharpen my cut shot. I made a couple of pretty shots, bank shots that, I mean, the guys came up to the table and they were like, man, you did that. That was a pretty shot right there. You know, a couple of shots that I made, she even had to say, okay, you did that one. So even in the process of someone else winning or seeming that they have an upper hand on you, sometimes God will still use them to then compliment you, or to say that you are what they needed to actually hear or see or experience in order for them to become better. So tonight, just know that the best player does not always win, but it's what you get from that helps you to then become a better person, that helps you to grow, that helps you to develop. And so whatever your circumstance or situation is, just know that it's not the end. There'll be another time that I'm going to go back in and I'm going to have to meet her on the table. We're going to have to do that again. Maybe one day when I'm not as tired or exhausted and I'm a little bit more fresh. And then just maybe it'll be that day that I'm just on my game. But don't let your circumstance and your situation keep you from getting back in the game. Just because I lost 6 games tonight don't mean that I'm not going to be back on the table. Let me see, because my regular crew going to be back this weekend. A couple of them were traveling and I need to go talk trash, so I'm looking forward to that. So just take that with a grain of salt and know that the best person doesn't always win. The most skilled player might not always be the one that's standing on the podium at the end of the event. But that doesn't mean that they're not still recognized as the most skilled player. So let this be a hint to you to say that you can keep pushing forward. You might lose sometimes, but you're still a winner. And just take that to the bank. All right, y'all. Have a good night. As I say, hey, y'all.